Welcome to episode 24. This is the Purpose Driven Funnel Show. Today I am going to share some interesting information with you about what I've learned over the past year and several months in having my own business about, what marketing is, and also, just as importantly, how to know if you're pursuing the right path for your business. I think you're going to find this really insightful. You'll learn from my learning. Hopefully it will help you. I'm embarking on a journey to grow a successful online business so I can break free from my 9 to 5. The question is, how will I do it? Find out right here on the Purpose Driven Funnel Show, where you will get an insider's view as I interview experts who have succeeded. I'm doing it because my why is bigger than my 9 to 5. Life is meant to be a joy, not a chore. Will you join me? Today's podcast is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download and a 30-day free trial at audibletrial.com/purpose-driven-funnels. Over 180,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player. Welcome back to another episode of the Purpose Driven Funnel Show. And today, while I'm between interviews, I thought I would kind of bring some insight to questions that people have a lot about, which is, what is marketing really, and can I really do it? I've been talking about how to have a successful online business so that I don't have to have a job anymore. And I know that since you're listening to this show, that's one of your goals as well. So I thought I would bring some light to that question that I've learned over the past year and a few months now that I've been pursuing my own business. And, the first thing that I'll address is, what is marketing really? I mean, I've done a lot of study over the past year and some months, and really marketing only comes down to one basic thought process, and it's just is getting the right message to the right people at the right time. That's about as simple as I can make it. It's really not any more complicated than that, although it's a simple thought process, a simple idea. It can definitely be complex, but so that's what it really all comes down to. Figuring out how to get the right message to the right audience and do it at the right time. You can have the right message, and if you don't give it to the right people, then your message is not going to do any good. It's not going to, bring any customers to your business. And at the same time, you can have the right people, and you can give them the wrong message, but they might be the right people that would buy from your business, but if they get the wrong message, then it's not going to convince them to become your customer. And then you've got to get that at the right time. So you may have the right message, and you may get it to the right people. But the key thing is, if it's not at the right time, then they're not going to become your customer then either. Now, when I say that, what I mean is, you may give the right customer the right message in your funnel or in your marketing material, in your ads, right? And that may bring them into your funnel. But if it's not the right time, like your message resonates with them, it's the right kind of people, it's your target audience, but maybe it's just not quite the right timing. Now you've planted a seed in them, and it will start to grow in them. And that's why it's important to really know that just because you get the right message to the right people and they get in your funnel and they opt in and give you their email address, doesn't mean they're going to buy or become your customer right then. So like I said, it's kind of a seed that starts growing. So that's why it's important to start a email marketing campaign to continually keep the message in front of them. And there's ways to do that, which I'm not going to get into with this episode. Obviously, this is just a kind of an introduction to marketing and all that. But that seed will grow over time, and at the right time, when they're ready, that right message to that right person will become the right time, and they will end up becoming your customer. Now, that's not 100% guaranteed. It depends on how well you do your marketing and how truthful you are in it and everything. But that's really the basic of what marketing really is. And everything else, really is just figuring out how to set up your funnel, how to systemize the process, how to speak to that person. That's really all it is. But one thing I do want to emphasize that somebody that will probably be particularly successful in this that I've discovered is if you're somebody who just kind of seems to know what people are thinking, like you're very empathetic, you can see things from their perspective and you can really get behind their thoughts and their behaviors, then you'll no doubt be great at online marketing. It'll be much easier for you. Now, that doesn't mean that if you can't do that you can't be successful, but it may mean that maybe affiliate marketing is more your thing, because then you can just you can copy what other people are doing when you're selling their products. You use their messaging and you use their materials and you market to their customers, because ideally they're successful because they know how to get the right message to the right people, and your job is just get there at the right time and keep that relationship with them until they finally become your customer. So that's a few things about what marketing really is, and what does it take to do marketing. Some other things I would say about what does it take to do marketing is when you are doing your own marketing for your own business, like if you're a consultant or a service provider, a freelancer, or whatever, you're trying to do work for other clients like I've been doing. It can be really hard to be able to recognize your own marketing and if it's right or not. So, doing your own marketing for your own business is much harder than doing it for other people, because when you look at other people's marketing, you look at their products and you look at their customers, you see what they're saying about them, and you're like, hey, wait a minute, there's a disconnect here, or I can see that, these people probably would really like this better. You can kind of see where the problems are with other people's a lot easier than you can see for yourself. So, a couple things. One, that's why it's easier to do work like that for other people. And two, if you can have somebody that you can bounce, your ideas off of for your own marketing, your own business, that just is going to help you immensely in being able to recognize where the holes are in your own marketing. So that's just a couple of things that I've learned that have been very valuable for me. Having somebody else I can bounce my ideas off of, having Steve, my mentor coach, who was able to show me a lot of holes in the things that I'm doing. It's been super helpful. I highly recommend, if you don't have a mentor or somebody that you can bounce ideas off of, then you really need to make sure that you have somebody you can do that with, whether it's a mentor or somebody you can just connect with. And feel free to email me at Sean@PurposeDrivenFunnels.com, or look me up on Facebook and at the Purpose Driven Funnel Show. I'd be more than happy to connect with you, because I'm always looking for more people to bounce ideas and things off of. So just keep that in mind. And I actually have been really seriously considering putting together a community, like on Facebook, for example, that for people like us that want to be able to connect with somebody to bounce ideas off of, to create partnerships or whatever it might be, just something that we can use to kind of talk together and have that, like I said, outside view that bounces ideas off each other. It's really very valuable. So let me know if that would be something you'd be interested in. Another thing I want to talk about is pivoting in your business, especially in affiliate marketing. The whole industry, it changes so rapidly that just because you find something that's working, like a particular strategy with an ads campaign that you can do, or a particular way to reach a particular people, over time, and probably a very short time, that's going to change because there's a lot of variables that we can't control, such as if you're doing affiliate marketing, for example, the person may just suddenly stop selling their materials, or for whatever reason, maybe they don't want to do that project anymore and they close it down, they do on something else. So that will stop your sales real fast if you have that happen. The other things are, like traffic rules change. So, how many times has Google changed their algorithm for searches, or Facebook updated the way that they collect information about their users, or even about their marketing platform that they have. Things change all the time, and one day your ads may be working, and these places, Google or Facebook or whoever, may change rules that suddenly mean your ads aren't going to be approved or not going to work. And that can be something that can potentially temporarily hurt your business. So you always want to be on top of whatever you're doing, keep up with it, making sure that you are staying current, and things, when they change, that you're changing with them. So don't get stuck in the thought process that, okay, when I find something that's working and it's really humming along well and I'm doing all this great and making this great income, that's not the end of it. You can't just sit back and relax and say, I'm going to just sit back and take life easy now because everything's coming in the way I want it to. It doesn't quite work that way when you're in online marketing. So, like I said, you just have to make sure that you always stay up on it. It's not hard to do, but it does mean that things change a lot, and you do need to change with it, which is exciting if you're somebody who really likes change and likes to keep things fresh. So, just business pivoting is something that will always be there, and it will always happen. So expect that you're going to have to change with it. So that's really basics about what I've kind of learned as far as what marketing is, and can I really do it, things like that. But there's some other things that I also want to highlight that I had learned over the past year and some months now. And actually this next piece is really more about God's purpose and man's plans. Something that I've really learned, and over more than a year actually. This is something that's been God been kind of speaking to me for a long time, but I want to share it with you guys because I think it's really interesting, and a lot of this comes from Proverbs chapter 16. And to start with, I'll just read a few verses that indicate that God determines the outcome and that He is the ultimate decision maker. So Proverbs chapter 16 verses 1 and 2 say, "A person is responsible to prepare his heart, but how the tongue speaks is from Adonai. All a man's ways are pure in his own view, but Adonai weighs the spirit." And by the way, I'm reading from the Complete Jewish Bible. If it sounds a little bit different, they use the word Adonai and things like that. I really like the way this version spells it out because it's actually translated from the Hebrew and the Greek original, so it's a very good translation. But so that's the reasoning for how it sounds a little bit different than a lot of the versions out there. But so those are the first two verses. Now verse 4, Adonai made everything for its purpose, even the wicked for the day of disaster. And then verse 9, a person may plan his path, but Adonai directs his steps. And then the last verse on 33, one can cast lots into one's lap, but the decision comes from Adonai. So all these verses are really indicating that, while we have a certain part in it, really the final outcome is determined by God. It's not determined by us. We can't control the outcome of anything. So that's the first part. Now the second part, let's read verses 3, 7, and 20. And these verses are things that we do that help us determine success. So first verse 3, if you entrust all you do to Adonai, your plans will achieve success. And then verse 7. When a man's ways please Adonai, he makes even the man's enemies be at peace with him. And then verse 20. He who has skill in a matter will succeed. He who trusts in Adonai will be happy. So see, what all these things have in common too are trusting in God for the outcome. But there are things that we have to do. We have to make sure that what we're doing is pleasing to God. We have to make sure that we understand that we trust everything to God that we do. And we do have to have a skill in a matter, in order to succeed. So, developing that skill is also an important piece. So when you kind of put this all together, like chapter 16 of Proverbs has really just kind of been my chapter for saying, this is how you make plans, this is how you achieve success in your goals, in your business, or whatever you're doing. It has to do with a lot of these verses here. So just kind of keep in mind, while we do have a part, we do have choices to make, right? Ultimately, the outcome is up to God, and it will align with His purposes, whether we like it or not, in the end. So that's always an important thing to me. And so to me, that really says that I need to make sure that my plans line up with His plans right off the bat, because I've already been through that, let's just call it desert experience, where I'm making my own plans and having and setting my own goals and going in circles. Like literally for years I've been trying to have my own business. I literally have been going in circles for years. But when God started opening my eyes to this in chapter 16 and really just kind of speaking to me about that process, about making my own goals, when I realized that making plans with God in the beginning is the best way to go, then that's when things started to move forward for me. And that's when I knew that I was going to be successful, versus in the past where I would do something and be frustrated because I don't know if that's going to work. I have no idea, what the outcome's going to be, or if there will be a good outcome, and if there will, when, right? I always had all those questions in my mind. So once I really got a hold of these verses, once I really got a hold of the truth that my plans should line up with God's plans, I need to be in alignment with Him, seek Him for what I should be doing, then things work out well. So that's a really important insight, because you can do all the planning you want. It won't matter. If it's not in line with what God wants, it ain't going to happen. Period. And you may even be successful at what you're doing for a time, but I can guarantee you it's going to end up in disaster. It's not going to be something that's sustainable, and it just won't ultimately win. So just something to really encourage you, because I want to keep anybody out of that frustration that I was in for all those years, just literally going in circles, not getting anywhere, and trying so many different things. So that's really an important piece. Another part too that I learned is not to do too much. This is really important, especially when we're talking about trying to start our own business, having a job, and a lot of us, having families besides. Having a full-time job, working for somebody else, and having a family with kids even, it's just that right there, it's already a lot. So throwing a business in on top of that is just going to make it that much more difficult. But what really God has spoken into me is to make sure that I'm not doing too much. We have to be careful that we don't allow our work, no matter how demanding it is, occupy so much of our time that our own well-being and our relationships suffer as a result of it. So some of the ways that I've been able to do that are making sure that I have a rest day, one day every week. In the Bible it talks about, God says you should rest one day every week, and work 6 days. Well, that is a real key thing, and it sounds counterintuitive because when you have all this stuff going on with a job and a family and trying to do your own business, you can pretty much work 24/7, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and not really seem to get very far in your business. But I can tell you one thing, that will lead to burnout quicker than you can imagine, and that will lead to you making the choice that, you know what, this business is just not worth the time because I have to have my job, because I have to have an income. I can't abandon my family, right? So the only other choice is what happens is your business, which is your passion that you want, that's not really a necessity as far as things go, you end up letting it go because it gets to be very overwhelming. So when you consider that with what we were just talking about God's plans, if you know that you're going in the right direction, the direction God wants you to go in, and He doesn't necessarily tell you you're going to sell this product, or you're going to do this business, or provide this service. Sometimes He does, and sometimes He doesn't. He gives us desires to help us know what we want to do. He wants us to do what we want to do. He's happy to see us be happy doing something we enjoy doing. That I know. But when you take what you enjoy doing and you line that up with what God wants you to do, like how He wants you to do it, how He wants you to be, or when He wants you to do it, when you line your plans up with His, and you take a rest day, then you know on that rest day, if you're honoring God in the rest day that He asks us to take, you're actually bringing blessing on yourself, on your family, and on your business, and even on your work. So I've found that when I started doing that, you actually get more done in those 6 days than you will in 7, because your mind needs a break. Your body needs a break, and you need to make sure that you're setting a time where you can actually, commune with God or talk with God, because the rest of the 6 days, it's going to be very difficult with all these things going on to really set aside time to do that. So that rest day is another good place to do that, and it refreshes you. It gives you new energy. It gets you excited again, so that the next 6 days are, a joy and not a burnout burden. So that's why I want to make sure and share with you guys why these things kind of work together and how important they are. In talking about, potentially burnout and not wanting to continue, I can't tell you how many times I've wanted to just quit my business because that was the easier thing to do. Deep down inside of me, it's not what I really want, but it can be so difficult sometimes. You just go through these like valleys, I call them, where things seem like they just aren't going right. They're just not moving forward, or nothing seems to be working. Well, we have to have the faith to persevere. And this is a key point in the name, the Purpose Driven Funnels Show. It's all about being purpose-driven in our funnels business. And I just want to illustrate an interesting example. In reading, Matthew chapter 8, verses 23 through 27. With these verses, which I'll read here, these verses they talk about Jesus and basically kind of knowing what He was called to do. So let's pick that up here, chapter 8, verse 23 through 27. It says, He boarded the boat, He being Jesus, and His disciples followed. Then, without warning, a furious storm arose on the lake, so that waves were sweeping over the boat. But Jesus was sleeping. So they came and roused Him, saying, Sir, help, we're about to die. He said to them, Why are you afraid? So little trust you have. Then He got up and rebuked the winds and the waves, and there was a dead calm. The men were astounded. They asked, What kind of man is this that even the wind and sea obey Him? So, like I said, this is really a good picture of Jesus knowing what He was called to do. Jesus probably couldn't have had the faith that He had when He rebuked that storm, when he was in the boat unless he knew what he was there on earth for. He knew that he wasn't going to die before his purpose was fulfilled because he knew why he was there. And that is a really big difference between, us as men and women, a purpose crafted for ourselves, and having a purpose that comes from God. So, like Jesus knew that he wasn't going to die, so he just said, wind and waves, shut up. I'm not here to die, and it's not going to happen. He wasn't at all worried. You can just hear and see his calm demeanor in that storm because he had that confidence, because his purpose came from God, and he knew why he was there. And you just can't have that kind of hope if you've created that purpose for yourself. It can carry you through for a while, but eventually you'll burn out on it. And you really just have to know what God has purposed you for and what he wants you to do. And when you know that, then you can have that same deep level of faith where basically anything is possible because you know that you're going to fill that purpose when you pursue it. So, tying all these things together, these are really key, important points to put all together. Knowing your purpose, knowing why you're here, so that when hard times come, you'll make it through that because this is just a bump in the road or a little valley that you have to go through for a short time because God is in control and you're lined up with his plans. And, and you're doing everything you can to make sure that you stay in alignment with that and that you honor God through, taking those rest days and, spending time with him. Then that it will happen. It will succeed. So that's where my journey has taken me, and that's why I am able to somehow make it through those hard times. Because even recently, I told you guys I lost my job. And I found myself having to make this full-time business work. And if I didn't know that this was going to work and that I was in alignment with God, I would have just dumped this off to the side, spent all my time looking for another job and forget about the business because it has been tough. In making that transition from working for somebody else to working at home all the time, it's difficult. I think we talked about that in an interview I recently did. I think it was with Alicia, where there's that difference between working for somebody else and working for yourself, and all the things that change. And I think I've shared some of the frustrations and some of the things I've gone through that in those changes. So that's just really like kind of my north pointing compass, if you will, that it means I know that I can make it through, that I know that I will succeed, and I don't necessarily know when I will succeed, right? I don't know how fast that's going to happen. I don't even know for sure if I'm going to stay at a full-time business right now. I've told you guys before, I am still looking for another job. But what I'm not doing is I'm not pursuing a career further in my job. I'm putting my focus on my business. And the plan B now, if you really want to call it plan B, is finding something to bring income through my job skills that I have. Even if that's part-time, I'm okay with part-time. It's I can, have a little bit of money coming in while I still have time to work on my business that has some money coming in and may be able to make that work. So I'm fully confident it will work. Like I said, just don't know when. But I wanted to encourage you guys that if you just do all that, if you know you got the right purpose, you know you're going the right direction, you stay in alignment with in God's goals and what He made you for, then there's no doubt in my mind you'll succeed. And if you need like a refresher on like the purpose of work and questions like, well, does God really want me to do my own business? Can I really do this? Is it something that should I be doing this particular business or that particular one? Go back and listen to, I think it was episode 20, The Purpose of Work. There's a lot in there about that. If you haven't heard that, that answers a lot of those questions actually. And an article attached to that I have a link in the show notes for, that will really goes much more deep into that topic to help you understand that. So yes, in short though, yes, God wants you and me to do something that we enjoy doing. He did not design us to be miserable. He didn't design us to, have to slog along in this life and not enjoying it. Ecclesiastes is very clear that really the only point that we have on this earth aside from God is to enjoy what we do and what we produce and enjoy being with our families. So there is absolutely nothing wrong with pursuing that. In fact, it's really God's design for us. So anyways, just wanted to encourage you guys with that. Next week I will have I'm planning on having an interview with another great guest that I want to bring on the show to share their story with. And so I'm excited about that. And also I'm going to bring up, probably in a couple episodes from now, talk a little bit more about marketing and what it means and how to kind of do that marketing, like how to put your content together and everything. Some things that I've learned I think will help you guys out a lot. So be watching out for that episode coming in the future. So I will see you all here very soon. Thanks for joining me on today's episode. I really hope you found it valuable. If you did, I'd appreciate it if you would share it with somebody that you think might also find it valuable. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the show so you don't miss anything coming up in the future. Also, if you haven't already done so, be sure to hop on over to purposedrivenfunnels.com and get on my email newsletter over there so that I can share some, secret insights that only people on that email newsletter are going to get. And I'm really working on some big projects and things that I'm going to be putting out there for free that are really going to help you guys start your business and get it off to a start even faster than what I did. So get on over there and get signed up for that, and I'll see you on the next episode. Until then, I'm wishing you success on your purpose-driven business journey. God bless.